The night was long, far longer than Noor had imagined. She had stepped into her bridal chamber with a heart full of dreams, carrying both nervousness and hope. Ryan's gaze, however, burned with a passion she had never seen before. The moment the door closed behind them, his eyes devoured her as though he had waited his whole life for this moment. At first, Noor blushed under his intense stare. She lowered her eyes, her hands trembling as he drew closer. His touch was gentle in the beginning, his fingers brushing against her cheek, his voice whispering her name with longing. But as the night deepened, his tenderness turned into an unstoppable fire. He kissed her with a hunger that stole her breath, held her as though he could never let her go. Noor tried to steady herself, tried to match his pace, but her body grew weak under his relentless passion. Hour after hour, Ryan whispered words into her ear, words that should have sounded sweet, but instead made her heart race with fear. "I can never get enough of you. My soul burns for you. Even if the night lasts forever, it will not be enough." His voice was both intoxicating and terrifying. Noor felt like she was caught in a storm, unable to break free. By the time dawn broke, her body was trembling with exhaustion. Her eyes were heavy, her lips dry, her heart desperate for rest. At last, in a moment of helplessness, she clasped her hands and pleaded with him to stop. Only then did Ryan, with his eyes red and wild from sleeplessness, finally pull away. He collapsed beside her, drifting into a careless slumber, satisfied with his conquest. Noor lay still, her chest rising and falling rapidly. The room was silent except for Ryan's breathing. She turned her face toward the window, her eyes stinging with unshed tears. Slowly, sleep began to claim her, a fragile escape after a night of turmoil. But just as her body surrendered to rest, a loud knock jolted her awake. She flinched, her heart pounding as she forced herself up. Her limbs ached, every step heavy as stone. "Who is it?" she asked softly, her voice shaking. From outside came a calm but commanding reply. It was Farah, her mother-in-law. "My dear, it's already 9 o'clock. Your family has brought breakfast. Get ready quickly and join them." Noor froze. Barely 2 hours ago, Ryan had finally let her breathe. And now already duty was calling. She turned once toward the bed. Ryan lay there fast asleep, careless, peaceful, as though he hadn't broken her with his unrelenting love. Her lips trembled, but she said nothing. She pulled out fresh clothes and staggered into the washroom. Cold water splashed against her tired body, but it could not wash away the memory of Ryan's whispers. She dressed quickly, fixed her hair, and stepped out with a smile that hid her storm. Ryan stirred slowly when Noor touched his arm. His eyes fluttered open, heavy with sleep. But the moment he saw her standing there, freshly dressed, her hair glistening from the wash, his gaze darkened with desire once again. A crooked smile tugged at his lips. Instead of rising as she had hoped, he caught her wrist and pulled her down, making her stumble onto the bed beside him. "Noor," he whispered, his voice husky with sleep yet burning with the same intensity as the night before. "How can I let you go so easily? You don't know. Every time I look at you, I lose myself all over again." Noor's heart pounded. She struggled gently, whispering in a rush, "Please, Ryan. My family is here. They're waiting for you at the breakfast table. Everyone will ask for you." But Ryan's grip tightened. His eyes, though half-closed, gleamed with mischief and hunger. He pulled her closer, brushing his lips against her temple, his breath warm against her skin. "Let them wait," he muttered. "What matters is you. Right here, right now. They'll never understand what you mean to me." Noor froze, fear and shame battling inside her. What if someone came knocking again? What if his mother entered? She pushed against his chest softly, whispering, "Please, Ryan." Not now. For a moment, he only stared at her, his chest rising and falling with controlled restraint. Then finally, with a low growl of frustration, he released her. He sat up, ran a hand through his tousled hair, and muttered, "Fine, I'll go." He grabbed a towel, tossed it over his shoulder, and strode into the washroom, leaving Noor trembling on the bed. Her pulse still raced as she adjusted her scarf and hurried to the breakfast table. Plates of food were spread, laughter and chatter filled the room. But Noor's mind was far away. She smiled politely, answered questions softly, all while feeling Ryan's eyes on her from across the table. His glance was heavy, filled with silent promises that made her chest tighten. After breakfast, Noor tried to stay close to Farah, engaging in light conversation to avoid Ryan's gaze, but he grew restless, his eyes following her every move. Each time she looked up, he was already watching, signaling with the slightest nod toward the bedroom. Noor's heart thudded louder with every stolen glance. Finally, unable to resist his own frustration, Ryan rose abruptly from the table and stormed toward the bedroom, slamming the door behind him. Everyone paused, startled. Farah frowned. "What's wrong with him?" she asked. Noor forced a weak smile. "I don't know," she murmured, her palms sweating. Inside the room, Ryan waited. His silence was louder than words, his anger simmering. Noor knew he wanted her to follow, but her feet refused to move. She stayed seated beside Farah, her body tense, while her mind screamed with fear of what awaited her behind that door. Noor sat silently beside Farah, her hands folded in her lap, trying to appear calm while her heart raced with fear. From behind the closed door, Ryan's presence loomed like a shadow. She knew he was waiting, and she knew what he wanted, but she could not bring herself to move. Farah noticed her unease and tried to lighten the moment with soft conversation. Yet every word passed Noor like a whisper lost in the wind. Moments dragged. The breakfast chatter faded, and one by one, the guests excused themselves. Noor's parents eventually rose to leave, smiling warmly at her. She hugged her mother, Sophia, and wished she could cling to her longer, just to delay the inevitable. As the door closed behind them, silence filled the house. Noor's heart pounded louder. Farah, sensing tension, finally excused herself as well, leaving Noor alone in the living room. That was when Ryan's voice broke the silence, sharp and commanding from the bedroom. "Noor!" Her body stiffened. The sound of his voice echoed in her chest like a warning. Slowly, unwillingly, her feet carried her down the hallway. Each step felt like walking into a storm. She reached the door, hesitated, then pushed it open. Inside, Ryan stood by the window, his back turned, hands gripping the curtain tightly. His shoulders were tense, his breath uneven. When he turned, his eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that stole her voice. "Why?" he asked, his tone quiet but laced with fire. "Why do you avoid me in front of them? Why do you run from me?" Noor lowered her gaze, trembling. "I wasn't running, Ryan. I was only with your mother." Everyone was there. He stepped closer, each movement deliberate. "Don't lie to me. I saw it in your eyes. You were avoiding me, Noor. You think you can hide from me? You are my wife, mine, and I can't stand when you slip away." She backed up until her legs brushed against the edge of the bed. Her voice cracked. "Please, Ryan. I'm tired. I just need rest." But he cupped her face, forcing her to look into his burning eyes. Rest? He whispered. How can I rest when you haunt me like this? Noor, don't you see? I'm consumed by you. I want you every moment, every breath. And when you resist me, it only makes my fire stronger. Noor's heart hammered in her chest. Tears filled her eyes, not from rejection of him, but from fear of his unending hunger. She whispered again, Please, not now. For a moment, Ryan said nothing. His hand dropped from her face, his eyes narrowing with frustration. He turned away, fists clenched, as if battling his own storm. You don't understand, he muttered. You'll never understand what you do to me. The silence between them was heavy. Noor stood frozen, wondering if this was just the beginning of a storm, far greater than she could endure. The day passed slowly, every moment heavy with unspoken tension. Noor tried to remain close to Farah, helping with chores, engaging in conversation, doing everything she could to avoid being alone with Ryan. But even when he was silent, she felt his presence, like fire smoldering in the corners of the house. His eyes followed her, filled with a restless desire that made her chest tighten. By afternoon, guests had left, and the house grew quiet. Noor felt a strange relief, thinking perhaps she might finally get some rest. But as evening approached, preparations for the grand reception began. Noor dressed in a silver-gray gown that shimmered under the lights. Her beauty was radiant, almost otherworldly. As she walked down to join Ryan on the stage, every eye turned to her in awe. Ryan himself was stunned. He held her hand tightly, his grip firm, unwilling to let go. Leaning close, he whispered into her ear, his voice low, filled with promise and threat alike. Tonight, Noor. Tonight you will not escape me. Her heart sank. She smiled faintly for the guests, but inside, dread consumed her. She had not slept in nights, and her body was too fragile to endure more. Still, she played the role of the perfect bride, greeting relatives, sitting gracefully by Ryan's side. But every time he looked at her, his eyes burned with the same hunger, and she knew the storm was waiting for her in the darkness of night. The reception dragged on, laughter and chatter filling the air. By the time it ended, Noor's head ached with fatigue. She longed for nothing more than a bed, silence, and peace. But Ryan's grip on her hand never loosened. When the last guest left and the house finally grew quiet, Ryan's smile returned, that same dangerous smile Noor had begun to fear. Inside the room, he pulled her close before she could even remove her jewelry. His breath brushed against her ear as he whispered, You thought you could hide behind the crowd? Noor, you are mine, and tonight I will make sure you remember that. She closed her eyes, fear and exhaustion mixing like poison in her veins. Ryan, please. I can't take more. My body is aching. I need rest. But Ryan's reply was only a chuckle, low and unsettling. Rest? My love, your rest will come after me. Tonight you belong to me, completely. Noor's hands trembled as she felt his hold tighten. The world outside was silent now. No guests, no family, no escape. Only her and Ryan, and the night stretching endlessly before her. That night felt heavier than all the nights before. Noor's body was already weak, her spirit weary. But Ryan's passion showed no signs of slowing. Every glance, every touch from him carried the same burning intensity that had left her trembling since the wedding night. She tried to hold herself together, to endure silently, but inside she was breaking. Hours passed in restless torment until finally Noor could take no more. Tears slipped down her cheeks as she pleaded, her voice hoarse with desperation. Please, Ryan. Please stop. I can't bear this pain any longer. Her words shook him only slightly. He stared at her, conflicted, his breathing harsh. For a moment, it seemed he might relent, but his obsession drowned out her cries. "Noor," he whispered, "you don't understand. I can't let you go. I need you. Every moment without you feels like death." By the time the night gave way to dawn, Noor's strength had collapsed. Her body ached, her lips trembled, and a sharp pain grew in her lower abdomen. Fear gripped her chest as she clutched her stomach, curling onto the bed. The pain worsened, waves of agony tearing through her fragile body. She cried out, shaking Ryan awake. He opened his eyes groggily, irritation on his face, until he saw Noor's condition. His expression shifted instantly to panic. "Noor, what's happening?" she gasped, holding her stomach tightly. "It hurts, Ryan. It hurts so much. I can't take it." Alarmed, Ryan leapt from the bed, hastily pulling on his shirt. He shouted for his mother. Within minutes, Farah rushed into the room, her face pale as she saw Noor writhing in pain. "What happened?" she demanded, panic filling her voice. "We need a doctor," Ryan exclaimed. Without hesitation, he called for the driver, and soon they were rushing Noor to the hospital. In the harsh light of the clinic, the doctor examined her and turned to Farah with a stern glare. "What have you allowed your son to do? His wife is injured internally. She is fragile, and if he continues like this, she could lose her ability to conceive." Farah's face flushed with shame. She lowered her gaze, unable to meet Noor's eyes. Noor lay on the bed, tears streaming, her body still trembling with pain. Ryan stood nearby, his head bowed, words caught in his throat. For the first time, the weight of his actions pressed against him. When they returned home, Farah insisted Noor rest at her parents' house for several days. Ryan resisted, but Farah silenced him with a stern command. Noor, though weak, felt a wave of relief. Finally, she would have space to breathe, to heal, away from Ryan's storm. Yet even in her parents' home, she could not escape the memory of his eyes burning with obsession. She knew it was only a matter of time before he came for her again. For the first 2 days at her parents' home, Noor finally found the sleep she had been craving. Wrapped in the safety of Sophia's care, she rested, her body slowly regaining its strength. Yet even as her pain began to ease, her heart remained restless. She could not forget Ryan's eyes, nor the way he had looked at her when the doctor's words echoed in the hospital room. Ryan, however, was not silent. He called her again and again, his voice filled with frustration. "Noor, how could you leave me like this? You know I can't survive without you. These 8 days feel like torture." Noor tried to explain gently. "Ryan, I'm still in pain. The doctor said I need rest. Please try to understand." But he would not listen. On the 3rd night, his tone grew harsher. "Don't give me excuses. Every husband is with his wife like this. Why are you acting as though you're the only one? Noor, I need you. Come back, now." She hung up the phone, tears slipping down her face. Her heart ached with confusion, love and fear battling inside her. She wanted to be the dutiful wife, but her body and soul could not carry the weight of Ryan's obsession. Sophia noticed her daughter's pale face, her tired eyes. "My dear," she asked softly, "is he troubling you?" Noor shook her head quickly. "No, Mama, I'm just tired." She couldn't bear to reveal the storm, not when her mother's heart was already burdened with worry. The days dragged on. Ryan grew more impatient. He stopped begging and began demanding. "Enough is enough, Noor. I didn't marry you to live apart. You are my wife. You belong with me. Do you even realize how I feel, alone in that house without you?" Noor's silence only fueled his anger. By the time the 8th day arrived, Farah herself came to take Noor back. Ryan's eyes, when he saw her return, were stormy but quiet. He said nothing during dinner, only stealing glances at her. His lips pressed in a thin line. Later, when they were alone, the storm finally broke. He shut the door behind them, turning to her with a mixture of pain and fury. "Noor, do you even love me?" he asked, his voice trembling. She blinked, shocked. "Of course I do. Then why do you resist me?" His words were sharp, cutting. "Do you know what it does to me when you push me away? Noor, I'm not a man who can live with distance. If you keep rejecting me, if you keep avoiding me, you will break me." Noor's throat tightened as tears slid down her cheeks. She whispered, "I'm only asking you to understand my pain, Ryan." But he shook his head, eyes blazing. "Pain? My pain is greater. And if you can't give me what I need, then tell me. Where else should I go?" His words pierced her heart. Fear and sorrow consumed her, and she realized she was trapped between love and torment, with no clear escape. The silence in the room stretched like a blade between them. Noor stood trembling near the bed, Ryan's words echoing in her mind like a curse. "If you can't give me what I need, then where else should I go?" Her heart broke. Was this love? Or was this a prison she could never escape? She wanted to believe in the vows they had shared, to believe that somewhere inside Ryan's obsession there was genuine love. But the darkness in his eyes told another story. Noor. Ryan's voice softened suddenly, almost pleading. He stepped closer, reaching for her hand. "You don't understand. I don't want anyone else. I only want you. Every moment, every breath, it's only you." She looked at him through tear-stained lashes, her chest rising and falling rapidly. "Then why do you hurt me, Ryan? Why don't you see what you're doing to me? I am breaking piece by piece." For the first time, Ryan hesitated. His grip loosened, his face clouded with conflict. He wanted to hold her, yet he feared losing her. "I can't control it," he whispered. "When I see you, something takes over me. Noor, you're my world. Without you, I'm nothing." Her tears fell harder. She whispered back, "If you truly love me, then learn to protect me. Love isn't about breaking someone. It's about holding them gently." The words struck him deeply. He turned away, fists clenched, battling himself. Silence filled the air, heavy and suffocating. Noor stood quietly, her strength nearly gone, yet her voice carried a fragile hope. "Ryan," she said softly, "if you want me to stay with you, if you want our life together to survive, you must change. Because if you don't, I will wither away." Ryan closed his eyes, his breath shaky. For the first time, he seemed to hear her not as a possession, but as a person. His shoulders sank, his head bowed. He said nothing more, but his silence was different now. Not angry, but heavy with thought. That night, Noor finally lay down exhausted, her body aching yet her heart calmer for having spoken. She didn't know if Ryan would truly change, or if this was only the quiet before another storm. But one thing was certain, their story was far from over. And so, Noor's story continues, caught between love and torment, between hope and fear. Will Ryan ever change? Or is this only the calm before another storm? That answer lies ahead, in the chapters yet to unfold. If you want to hear what happens next, don't forget to subscribe to Legend and Lore Stories. Tap the like button and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your support means everything, and it keeps these stories alive. Until next time, stay tuned and remember, every story hides a secret waiting to be told.